It was supposed to be the adventure of a lifetime. A group of friends, Rachel, Tom, Claire, and Eric, had rented a small yacht to sail along a remote stretch of the coastline. The sea was their playground, and they planned to spend a week diving, fishing, and exploring uninhabited islands. The first few days were perfect. The water was clear and calm, the sun warm, and the nights were restful and wandering. But on the fourth day, everything changed. They had anchored near an isolated island. It wasn't on any of their maps, but the untouched beauty of its white sandy beaches and dense jungle was irresistible. "We've got to explore it," Eric said, his excitement contagious. As they approached the island in their small dinghy, Claire noticed something odd. The water around the island was unnaturally dark, almost black, as if the depths below were endless. "That's weird," she muttered. "Just deep water," Tom said, dismissing her concern. They spent hours wandering the island, marveling at its untouched beauty. There was no sign of human habitation, not even old fishing nets or driftwood. But the longer they stayed, the more uneasy Rachel felt. "Listen," she said, stopping in the middle of a dense grove. The others paused. "What is it?" Eric asked. "Exactly," Rachel replied. "It's completely silent. No birds, no insects. Nothing." The realization sent a chill through them. Even the sea breeze seemed to have died, leaving the air oppressively still. "Let's head back to the boat," Claire said, her voice tight. As they made their way back to the beach, Tom tripped over something buried in the sand. Cursing, he knelt to see what it was. A weathered piece of driftwood with strange symbols carved into it. "Looks old," he said, holding it up. "Don't touch it," Claire snapped. "Why not?" Tom asked, rolling his eyes. "It's just a piece of wood." But Claire couldn't shake the feeling that the carvings were more than decorative. They looked like warnings. Back on the yacht, the tension eased, and they laughed off their fears. That night, as the others slept, Rachel stood on the deck, staring at the island. A thin mist had risen, curling around the trees like smoke. And then she saw it, a figure standing at the edge of the water, motionless. "Tom? Eric?" she called softly, but no one answered. The figure didn't move. It was too far to make out any features, but Rachel felt its gaze fixed on her. She backed away, her heart racing, and hurried below deck. The next morning, the mist had thickened, blanketing the yacht and the sea in white. They couldn't see the island or the horizon, just an endless, suffocating fog. It'll clear up," Tom said, though he sounded unsure. But it didn't. By afternoon, the fog had turned the world into a gray void. Their compass spun uselessly, and the GPS showed them as stationary, no matter how far they sailed. That evening, the first strange sound came. It was faint at first, a low hum that seemed to rise from the water itself. It grew louder, shifting in pitch until it sounded almost like a voice. Distant and distorted, as though someone was calling for help. "Do you hear that?" Claire whispered, clutching Rachel's arm. "I don't like this," Eric muttered. "We need to leave, now." But no matter which direction they steered, they couldn't escape the fog. By midnight, the hum had turned into a chorus, multiple voices rising and falling, in a haunting melody. "Turn off the engine," Rachel said suddenly. "What? Why?" Tom asked. "Just do it," she insisted. Reluctantly, Tom cut the engine, and silence enveloped them. The voices stopped, leaving only the faint sound of water lapping against the hull. For a moment, they thought it was over. Then came the knock, a loud, deliberate knock, as if something or someone was rapping on the hull from underwater. Eric grabbed a flashlight and leaned over the railing. The beam cut through the mist, illuminating only the empty, rippling sea. "There's nothing there," he said, though his voice trembled. The knock came again, louder this time, and then a hand emerged from the water, pale, bloated, with fingers too long to be human. It gripped the edge of the yacht. Eric screamed, stumbling back. The others rushed to the deck, in time to see that a head followed, hair dripping with black water, its face obscured by shadows. "What is that?" Claire shrieked. She glanced in all directions. The ground, the fruit tree, everything stopped. The ground bethweddled to earth. Flowers began to emerge and sit in a circle, waiting to be revealed. The thing climbed aboard, its movements jerky and unnatural. Its face, when it looked at them, was a ghastly mask of stretched, waterlogged skin. "Get below deck," Tom shouted, grabbing an oar to defend them. But as they scrambled to safety, more hands appeared, gripping the sides of the yacht. Figures began to rise from the water, their hollow eyes fixed on the terrified crew. Rachel locked the door to the cabin, her hands shaking. "What do they want?" "They came from the island," Claire whispered. "We shouldn't have gone there. We woke them up." The pounding on the hull resumed, louder and more desperate. The yacht rocked violently, as if something massive was rising beneath it. Through a porthole, Rachel caught a glimpse of the sea outside. The water was no longer calm. It churned and writhed, black as ink, and in its depths she saw them. Dozens, maybe hundreds of pale faces staring up at her. A deafening crack echoed through the cabin as something struck the hull. Water began to seep in. "This isn't happening," Eric muttered, his voice breaking. But it was. The last thing Rachel saw before the water engulfed them was the mirror-like surface of the sea breaking open, revealing a vast, gaping maw lined with countless teeth. The yacht was never found. Locals claimed the island had vanished, swallowed by the sea of the beauty. There are some tales of fishermen who ventured too close to the area, swore they could hear faint voices rising from the depths, calling for help or warning others to stay away.